We are live, and I'm here. I almost wasn't here. This is the Health, Love, and Life show with Coach Arnie on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast. #1 internet singles talk network. And I'm here. So forgot about the time change. I live in Arizona. We don't change our clocks. The rest of the country does. So I have to kind of float. I'm doing some business work with a partner in Vegas, and now I'm in his time where I was an hour different, and so I forgot. This is the first time I forgot this week since the change was Sunday, and been busy. This week has been very crazy in my life because I had planned on a big Grand Canyon trip this weekend, which got disrupted because of the weather. It's raining like crazy here, which is not normal. And so it means it's snowing and raining in the Grand Canyon, and that's not fun. It's dangerous. So learned my lesson. I'm not doing that. I've done that before. It's not fun. And so I'll be going in a couple weeks because it's going to snow again next week. What's going on? It's going crazy out there. So yeah, we're going to talk about the perfect diet. Do you believe there's a perfect diet? I don't. So, well, actually I do. And I'll explain that here in a second. But yeah, don't forget to follow me on all the social media platforms. TikTok. I'm having a lot of fun on TikTok this week. I've got my pattern. I try to do 10 or more tweets a day. I try to do a couple TikToks, 3 or 4 LinkedIn posts if I can. I do a really little short podcast also. I do this once a week. I try to post on Facebook a couple, 3 times a day. And sometimes I just get overwhelmed with some of the stuff I've been working on. And so this will allow me some time after I finish this tonight to catch up. And I try to put on there some things that are meaningful to me and other things. I do a lot of stuff with mental health, fitness as well, and just life in general. Hey, I don't watch a lot of news because to me it's a lot of nonsense, but I do pay attention to what's going on, and then I do my own homework, and the reason I'm saying all this to you is because I want you to become your expert. I've done stuff on that before, but I mean it. I mean, if you're not your own expert, then you become a sheep. And I'm trying to be a sheepdog. I'm trying to guard the sheep from the predators that are out there. There's a lot of them. And even everything I say here on this broadcast, if you're not checking me out, then you're crazy. I might be some crazy person. You don't know that. If you're not Googling me and find out what is this SOB all about, then you're not doing your homework. And I'm sorry, but there are people that I listen to. I was just listening to a great podcast. It was almost 2 hours long, a lot of questions. I like the guy. And you know what? 90% of the stuff he said, I agree with. That 10%, I'm checking out. I'm doing my homework. I'm sorry. And that's just the way I've learned to live my life. I do a whole thing on alignment, and we've done that on this show as well, but I don't put anything between my God and me, period. Everything else, I check out. No human being I will put on a pedestal. I don't care how much I love him. And I have a coach. I was talking to him yesterday with another client. He's been my coach for 46 years. That means I'm old. 46 years this man has been I don't put anything he says on a pedestal. I used to, but I check everything out. And I check out what works for me. Just like you need to check out what works for you. And if you're not doing that, you're making a mistake. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to be frustrated. And the biggest place that happens, especially in health and fitness, is with nutrition and diet. Oh my God. Especially this time of year. By now, we're rolling through the first 90 days. Most everybody that started some type of a nutrition program is out. It's over. You quit a long time ago. You quit 6 weeks ago. You quit it. It didn't work. Mostly because you didn't do any planning or preparation for it. You just thought, well, I'm gonna do this. I've done this before. I'm gonna eat low fat. I'm gonna eat I'm gonna do Nutrisystems or Jenny Craig or this system or that system. Fine. They all work for a little bit, and then what? Or let's go even bigger. Let's get real macro here. You either went, I'm going to do a vegan diet. I'm going to be like all these Hollywood people and be vegan and be raw vegan. I'm going to look wonderful and have all this health because all these wonderful doctors say this is the way to go. Well, that's baloney too. That's baloney. It doesn't work that way. I've talked to too many people that did all that. It might have worked for a few months, maybe even a couple years. But what if it's not working for you? What if it is working for you? I don't know. See, because that may not be the perfect diet for you. Now let's go the other way. Because I've done them all. I've been raw vegan. Didn't work for me. Made me feel horrible. And some of you might think, oh, you just did it wrong. No, I did it the right way. And I was looking for what works for me, not you, for me. Now I've gone all the way over. I even did carnivore I did it for at least 90 days. I felt pretty good. I have modified it now because I'm an ultra adventure athlete. So I do a lot of, like I said, my trip to the Grand Canyon, that was going to be 50 miles roughly. And that got disrupted. So I'll be going in a couple weeks, but I'm planning for a roughly 100-mile adventure at the end of the year. That's the kind of stuff I do. So I've modified my carnivore diet, which I call it hyper carnivore or meat based. I ate a lot of meat, red meat. I love red meat. Love it. But that's based on my blood type, my genetics, what works for me. I even am doing stuff on the trails now. After about 4 or 5 hours, I've been eating some meat products because as I transitioned off a lot of vegetables and other type of products, I can't eat nuts anymore. And I used to love nuts, but when I check my genetics, I shouldn't be eating nuts anyways. So there you go. So now when I have some nut butters or things like that, it bothers my stomach. When I have some meat products, there's some really neat products like Epic, I eat mostly bison and feel great. I sprinkle in some figs and things that work for me that I've tried on the trails and in harsh conditions, meaning that I'm hot, my gut hurts, my gut is hot. So then that's when I eat, because then I'll know, will it work for me when the going gets tough? So I have some certain fruits that I carry with me, my bison bars, and other things that I use, coffee, and I don't drink coffee, but I use it on a big run, some other fats, and I got my system down. I have some herbs that I'll sprinkle in there, the good herbs, nothing crazy, but I've created my own system after years and years and years of practice. I didn't just willy-nilly pick something out of a book or a magazine or a website because somebody that I thought was really cool was doing this stuff. No, I tried things. And so I come up with a system that works for me when I'm doing a big event. Okay. Now, that's for me on a big event. So I've gone from raw vegan to hyper carnivore, very meat based. So all of you that are judging me out there, too bad. Okay. Because it's about me and not about you. And if you're eating because of some religion, God bless you. But if it's something else, that's your problem, not mine. Okay. I don't force what I do on anybody. I want you to do what works for you. I want you to be curious enough about your health, especially if you're my age. If you're over 50 and you're not spending a lot of time focused on your health, you're making a huge mistake. Period. If your health is not at least two. In my world, it's God, then me, my health, then my family. Because if my health is no good, what good am I to my family? Think about that. So what good are you if you're always sick? If your immune system is low? Because you don't eat right, because you're eating too much sugar, too many processed foods, too many processed oils, all the things that the grocery stores are trying to shove down your throat. That's a problem, isn't it? And that's something you're going to have to work out. Nothing I say will ever change that for you. You're going to have to figure it out and then measure it. Can you measure feeling better? Can you measure more energy? Can you measure better immune? Are you getting sick? How's your, energy, wellness, all that stuff? That's number one, guys. The rest of the stuff just will happen. Performance will improve if you're healthy, if you feel better. So what do you got to do? Well, I tell you what you got to do. You got to figure things out for yourself. You got to become your own expert in nutrition for you. And with this beautiful thing here called the internet, whether it's on your phone or on the screen here or on a tablet, you have or experts. Gosh, if I was curious about my health, I would go on Instagram or Facebook or link. I would find experts and I would DM them. I would direct message them and ask them if they have time for a quick couple questions. A lot of them will. Ask them questions. I mean, I wish I had this 20 years ago. Are you kidding me? We used to have to go to a conference, meet people. God, it was like a big freaking deal. You guys can DM people on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and ask them questions. Unbelievable what you have access to. You don't have to read books. You can. I love reading books, but you can read books. You can go to seminars. You can go to conferences. You can go to websites, webinars. You can DM people. You have tons of information. And now you can get these DNA tests and all these other food allergy tests pretty cheap, cheaper than it was when I was a lot younger. They weren't even around. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of information out there. You don't have to be stuck unless you want to be stuck. See, here's what I have found, especially with nutrition. A lot of us are dogmatic about our nutrition because it's how we grew up. We have an NLP. We have a connection with certain foods with how we grew up. It was important to us at the family dinner. It made, maybe it was a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something that connected you with a great experience. And so you think, God, I got to have that food. I just love that food. I know out here in Arizona, everybody's hooked on Mexican food. Guess what? The best thing for me to grow up was as a Mexican. My mom and grandma made the best Mexican food you can imagine. And so everything else tastes like sawdust to me. So guess what? I get to avoid gleefully all these wannabe Mexican food restaurants that the food just tastes horrible to me. Plus, it's not good for me anyways. I'm not supposed to eat that kind of stuff. And I don't like it because it doesn't make me feel good. There you go. Here's what I know. As we get older, our bodies change a little bit. I love peanut butter, grew up on peanut butter, love peanuts, grew up on them. About 15 years ago, I couldn't eat peanuts anymore. Peanut butter made me sick. So I could have fought it because I love it, grew up with it. My dad used to make fun of me because how much peanut butter I ate. I had jars in my clinic of peanut butter that I bought, to have there ready to go because that's what I had every day. Had to give away those jars of peanut butter because I couldn't eat it anymore. And I thought I made a point. I'm not. Why am I going to eat peanut butter if it makes me sick? So why are you going to eat certain foods if they make you sick? Because they make you feel good? Really? They make you feel good mentally, or they make you feel good emotionally, or they make you feel good physically? See, we have to be honest with ourselves if we ever want to improve, which is why we have such a high failure rate with nutrition every year, because we want to do these things. We want to, but we don't have the will or the desire or the we don't have something that's going to pull us through it. We have something that'll push us into it. Don't feel good. Don't look good in the mirror. Somebody made a comment about us, so we feel bad. Okay, so what was that? I was like, God was sending a message in there for me. But no, we feel bad. So we get kind of pushed into it. Got to do that. Got to lose weight. Everybody's losing weight. So we jump on the bandwagon. It sounds like things that are going on in our society today. Everybody has to jump on the bandwagon because you feel you're going to be judged. No, you don't. You don't have to jump on the bandwagon. You have to jump on your bandwagon. You have to beat your drum. What works for you? What makes you feel good? What makes you healthy? It's not about the other person. It's about you. So stop doing all that nonsense. And you don't have to start a diet on January 1st and then quit on February 15th and think you're done for the year. No, you can start anytime you want. You can start today finding out the right foods for you. You know, if you like red meat, don't let some knucklehead tell you that you can't eat red meat. Don't let some doctor that doesn't know anything about nutrition tell you about red meat. I challenge anybody to show me one study that says red meat's bad for you. One. Give me one study. You know, I had my blood tested at the end of the year, and my triglycerides were 44, and my HDL, the good cholesterol, was 85. Yeah, I'll put those numbers against anybody. All right. So my inflammation markers were rock bottom. So all you out there that think that red meat is bad for you, shame on you. So if that's something that you should be eating more of to get more protein and good, healthy nutrition, which is what it provides, okay, which is why I can, and anybody wants to send me a message, anybody wants to call me, I will send you podcast links. I will send you all kinds of things from psychiatrists, MD psychiatrists, that will tell you that people on a high protein or high fat diet, high protein, have that's what they use to help them get off antidepressants, help them deal with things as horrible as schizophrenia. And look it up. Do your own homework. Don't take it from what this crazy person's telling you, because it creates mental clarity. Now, what if you're somebody that doesn't respond to that? Well, then you're going to figure that out. Maybe you will do incredibly well as a vegan. I mean, if you enjoy eating, 5 or 6 times a day, because you're going to have to get enough food in, and because of the way the carbohydrates will disperse in your system, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not judging you. I just want you to find what works for you. But don't brush away if you're a carnivore and you're not doing well and you have bad blood markers and other things aren't working for you, good God, you need to get off. One of the doctors that I listened to when I was investigating carnivore was one of the first ones that started this, Dr. Georgia Eads. And she can't eat red meat. It doesn't work for her, but she can eat fish and chicken and turkey, and she does incredibly well. I coached a young man in Toronto, and he can't eat red meat. He eats more of a vegetarian diet. That's okay. We worked on it together, and we found the foods that work for him. You need to do the same thing. All right, guys, let's pause right there because I'm starting to get a little crazy here. Let's pause. We're on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, #1 internet singles radio. So let's take a couple seconds here, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and we are heavy into the perfect diet for you, not me. Remember that. Coach Arnie helps you find what works best for you, and you need to use Mr. Google to do your homework, and then you need to follow what your gut tells you and your body and your health, and then you need to test it. Go get some blood work done. There's you can go online now and get lots of very inexpensive blood, because especially if you have high deductible health insurance like I do, you can get that. You can get it for a pretty reasonable cost and get some of these blood markers looked at for yourself to see what's working, what's not working. That's the whole idea here. So, so we've been talking about whether you're a raw vegan or there's people that are raw carnivores. I was just listening to a show. She's a marathon runner, and she eats raw meat, sourced out from a local farm, so she knows what she's getting, and she says she feels amazing. Why would I judge somebody like that? Why would you judge somebody like that? If you're eating raw vegetables and all the things that you're eating, okay, you'd be surprised what's in those things. Do your homework. Be surprised. You'd be surprised. So what I'm trying to say is we need to find out what's working for us. We need to not be judging other people, and we need to stop worrying about what other people think about us, and deal with our own insecurities when it comes to food. Because a lot of people have insecurities when it comes to food because we think we should, to fit in, we need to eat like everybody else does. No, you don't. I'm sorry. One of the things I like to teach is going to, when you have an event, family dinner, whatever, tell people, hey, look, you're working on your nutrition. You're working on your new diet, and you're going to need some help. Get some encouragement from them. People love helping you. They do. But you got to let them know what you're doing. You don't want to sit there and make fun of other people's what they're eating. That's wrong. That's you're the judgmental person at that point. It'd be like me. People used to always come up to me, especially when I have my clinic, and they go, "What are you eating? What are you eating?" And I kind of turned the tables on them and said, "Hey, what are you eating? What do you got there? What's that all about?" And then people would tell me they made it, leftovers, or they went and got it someplace, and I wouldn't sit there and make fun of them. I wanted to know why they're eating it, and for the most part, because they liked it. Tastes good. I'm okay with that. Look, not everybody is into health. A lot more people are into feeling good than they are into living a long time and having a healthy life. That's okay. I am not judging you on that. But if you come to me or you go to anybody else and you want to feel better and be healthy and live a lot longer, then by golly, do what you need to do. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to find the perfect diet for you? That's going to take some work. It really will. And, and that's going to come with, like I said earlier, blood type, DNA, trying different diets. It's funny when you talk about raw vegan. I used to be a regular speaker at a raw vegan dinner, and I've spoken there, I don't know how many times, quite a few. But this is after I went through my phase, and she knows that I'm not a vegan anymore, and I just couldn't eat the food. I couldn't eat the food. I'm not saying I could. I mean, it was bad. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. Now you put a ribeye on that table, I'm all in. Let's go. And I would say that to them. They'd laugh and get a chuckle out of it, because the talk I was doing was the same talk I'm doing right now with you. Let's figure out what works for you, because you'd be surprised at how many people at that raw vegan dinner didn't want to be raw vegan. They were being a raw vegan because somebody told them to, a doctor. And when was the last time you met a doctor that had any clue about nutrition? I've been around a long time because I'm old, and I have run into less than this many on my hand right here. I'm talking medical doctor that I could ever give the credibility of nutritional knowledge to. Not judging. They don't study it. I had an orthopedic surgeon I worked with many, many years ago. And he told me, Arnie, we took one course in college, in medical school. One. We don't know what we're doing. So come on, guys. But there are some doctors that are becoming more and more functional medicine type doctors who are really doing a deep dive into nutrition, and they're amazing. And they're out there. You got to find them. You got to find them. But they're out there, and they can answer your questions for you. You darn well better believe that. But you got to do your homework. You can't be sitting around here complaining and blaming people. It's your fault. It's not my fault. After what you hear tonight, it's not my fault anyways. It's your fault. If you're not willing to take the responsibility to finding your perfect diet, whose responsibility is that? Are you paying somebody to find your diet for you? You know, I don't know. If you are, with my clients that pay me, we find it together, because I can't eat your food and tell you how you feel. You have to eat your food and tell me how you feel. And then we can make some adjustments. One of the first things I always start off with, I'm going to tell you guys the same thing. Eliminate your processed foods. So if you pick up a package, I thought I had something here. If you pick up a package and it's got all these different chemicals and ingredients on it, most of the stuff you see in a grocery store, whether it's organic or not, I don't really care. And it's in a package. There's a good chance. One of the only things I buy that's in a jar or package is my vegan kimchi that I put on all my meals. Okay. And it has 7, 8, 9 different vegetables in there that are fermented. And to make that fermentation, they have to put certain things in there. So it's really the only thing I eat that has a package to it. Now, it doesn't mean I'm perfect. You know, if I go out to an event or a dinner, if I want to eat dessert, I have dessert. If I want to have a cracker, I have a cracker. But these are not things that I go out of my way to eat. These are not things that I go out and buy. But if I'm at somebody's house for dinner, I'm going to be a good guest and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to indulge. I'm not going to be ridiculous, but I'm going to enjoy myself. I don't eat things that I know will not make me feel good, period. That's regardless of what it is. Okay? So, but I've discovered this, but it's taken me, I've been working on this a long time. I mean, I've been studying nutrition programs since the late 70s when I was in college, because I've just been interested in it. And I drive my wife crazy because I've tried virtually every diet you can think about, from, like I said, high fat, low fat, no fat, high carb, low carb, keto, carnivore, paleo. I even had somebody a client that gave me all their Nutrisystem because they didn't like it. And I tried that because I wanted to know what it tasted like. So I ate it for like 2 or 3 weeks because they literally gave me almost a month's supply. And then, I mean, I've done it all. I've done the Weight Watchers, counting your points, and just to know what all that was about. Guys, come on. You know, it's not that hard if you figure out what works for you. I do very little thinking. The only thing I have to worry about sometimes is, did I defrost some meat? Because I usually have a sweet potato laying around or some squash that I could cook up real quick and cut up some meat, put it in my Instapot, which takes, not very much time. And I'm good to go. I don't put a lot of thought in. I'm not a cook. I like to ask questions about it because I'm curious, but I'm not sitting there with all my little ingredients. And I just know that it works for me. And it takes not a lot of things. Now, I know that a lot of people put a lot of thought into it. My wife does, and she struggles with it too, because especially if you have to have a lot of variety to enjoy your life. I get it. I'm just blessed that I don't have to do that with food. If I have different cuts of meat, sometimes I have a leaner cut, but I'll mix in some fat. Sometimes I have a fattier cut. I will never turn down a ribeye. Guys, This rarely do I have chicken every once in a while, because now any of you know that after you've eaten a lot of good steak, chicken just really bland. And rarely, even more so turkey, because turkey is so dry. That's why it's lean. But I'm a big believer that we need more fat for this right here. This is my area of expertise, the brain. And I think one of the reasons we're having so many problems today with youngsters and older people is because they got sucked into this whole low fat thing 50, 60 years ago. And it's causing havoc right now on our society. So I do believe we need significantly more fat in our diet, significantly more. You heard me right. I haven't heard a doctor that I was listening to 2 days ago on this whole virus thing out there. And he said that people that have a higher LDL, ooh, that's what everybody says is the bad stuff, that have a higher LDL have a stronger immune system, especially as they get older. And, you know, it seems like the older population is vulnerable right now. Well, if you're not eating enough protein, which most older people don't do, so if you're around mom and dad or grandma, there's a good chance, especially if their skin's real thin and they get a lot of those red bruising marks, it's because they're not getting enough protein in their diet. And I've been studying older people now for 34 years. Older people do not get enough protein, period. You cannot give them too much. Don't listen to any of those things about kidneys and all that stuff that your doctor's telling. You know, I challenge you this. Have them show you one study that says that too much protein is bad for your kidneys. It's not. Plus, they're not going to get that much protein anyway. I mean, are you kidding me? Most people are having zero protein. So to get them to get too much, they would have to be like engorging on it. It's not going to happen. So get them some protein. You know, that'll help a lot, you know. But you should be surprised with added fats. I've seen it. When you add fat and protein to somebody's diet, they come alive. Their eyes come alive. They come alive. It's amazing. It's the most amazing thing in the world. And it's right in front of us. And because we've been brainwashed, we're not doing it. Not me. I'm not a sheep. I've been challenging the status quo forever. Forever. It's got me into a lot of trouble too, because sometimes I was way ahead of the curve and I missed it. Okay. So I just didn't fit in. I was like the toys on remember the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer cartoon show? Well, it's not a cartoon, it's one of those puppet things. Remember the Island of Misfit Toys? I felt like I was on the Island of Misfit Toys a lot, because I would read things and listen to, you know, people that were way out in front, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. And then you tell somebody, and they look at you like you're nuts. Estavo Medina, say escribe no me no canal. What is that? No español, poquito, Estavo, poquito. In English, please. So, yeah. So I've been looking at this stuff for a long, long time, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. Don't be afraid to challenge your family. Don't be afraid to challenge your significant other. I don't care. Your kids. Good God. Quit being insecure. You know, you have to live your life. I know couples right now that I've worked with. One of them is almost a carnivore. The other one's a vegetarian, and they have to learn to work together. So are you that selfish that your partner has to eat exactly like you, or you're going to be angry and put out, offended? You're in trouble. You're in trouble. It won't work, because at some point there's going to be some resentment and then some rejection, and then you're down the tubes. And you did it because you're selfish. Because you're selfish. Because we can all live together and eat what we enjoy eating and be happy. Because isn't the idea of meals in order to come together and enjoy each other's company? I thought that's what it was all about. But somehow, in some ways, it's become, you have to eat what I eat or you're a bad person. Boy, am I tired of that. I think judgment of others is poison. Poison. Just look around what's happening in our society. Come on, guys. We don't need to judge each other. We need to love each other, take care of ourselves. If I'm healthy and happy, shouldn't that be enough? If I'm healthy and happy, shouldn't that be enough? If it's not, then somebody needs to look in the mirror and decide what they really want. Yeah. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. If what you really want is for other people to do exactly what you want them to do, then that's a tyrant. It's not right. It's not right. And relationships will be very tough for you. There'll be a challenge. So it should be about loving, encouraging the other person, understanding them. If they have special needs, you need to help them to find them nutritionally, especially nutritionally. Gosh, that's the number one thing besides God. Besides, is you gotta feed this thing here. We have to have energy to live. That's why it's so sad when I did a lot of work with eating addictions. It's the one addiction that you can't go without your drug. Did you know that? It's the one addiction that you can't go without your drug. Food. So, my challenge, guys, tonight, my challenge to you, in order for you to find that perfect diet, is do some homework. First of all, evaluate what you're doing today. March the 12th, 13th, 12th. Friday the 13th is tomorrow. Look out. And if you're eating a lot of processed foods, try to cut that down. Cut that down. You can do it. If you're eating too much sugar, cut it down. Meaning that, everything, all carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables break down into simple sugars eventually. So look at what you're eating. If you're having too many sugars and too many processed foods, and then I like to throw in vegetable oils besides olive oil. Olive oil has a better track record. But any processed cooking oils, guys, you're in trouble. Processed foods, processed vegetable oils, and excess sugar, you're in trouble. So that's where you start. Let's clean that up first. Then you can worry about eating better foods. Clean that up first, and then I don't care which way you go. Go raw vegan or go eat raw steak for all I care, but just know where you're getting it from. And then after that, you start working your way into something that works for you. Maybe you need some more eggs. Maybe you need less eggs. Maybe you need some more meat, maybe less meat. Maybe you need something. I don't know. See how this is? There is not the perfect diet for you unless you are doing the work. And then we can figure it out and work together and figure this thing out. And then before you know it, 6 months, a year, longer. But isn't that worth it? Isn't that kind of an investment worth it? Gosh, to go through life knowing what you can eat, and then you can create whatever you want. Wherever you go out to dinner, you know what you're going to order. There's none of this, I'm losing my mind because I don't know what to eat. I know what to eat every time. If you gave me the choice, I would tell you what I want. Now, it may not make the other person happy, but that can't be I'm not responsible for your emotions. You're not responsible for other people's emotions unless you're intentionally trying to hurt somebody. Then that's shame on you. But if you're living your life in a loving and encouraging way, and others are judging you because of their insecurities, you are not responsible for their emotions. It's pretty simple. You're responsible for you. We all are 100% responsible for ourselves. When we get into the complaining and blaming thing, it creates a problem. So nutrition is right at the tip of the spear because it's something we all need. That's why my hopeful principle starts off with that. Healthy nutrition. Because it's so important for the brain, for your body, for your energy, for everything to do with your life. Gosh, I see so much anxiety and depression out there. And when I look at those individuals' diets, and I'm telling you, I look right in their eyes and they go, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I still have to have this. I'm thinking to myself, God, I want to just slap them in the face, because that's not going to cut it. It's a start. It's a start. But unless you're willing to go all the way and finish it, you're always going to struggle. Because see, going all the way and finishing whatever works for you doesn't mean you can never have it again. See, remember that. So if you want to have a pizza, have it whenever, once in a while. But if you're eating pizza every week, might be a problem. If you're having a chocolate sundae triple scoop with all these things on it every week, might be a problem. I'm just saying, you can do whatever you want, but you can't complain and blame. I mean, I've heard it so many times with nutrition. I've been working with, I used to run a gym, and I was like the programmer, and we'd all go over the nutrition. Back then, I was teaching more of the standard, low fat, a lot of chicken, vegetables, clean, but we needed more fat. But we were going through that whole craziness. And man, talk about, that was even tough. People couldn't do that either, because they had to have their pizza, have their beer, which is fine. I'm not saying you can't. Or have but don't go home every night and have a 12-pack. You can't go home, you can't have pizza twice a week because it's easy and it feels good. Guys, you got to have some strategies here if you want to feel better. If you're feeling better eating pizza and M&Ms, I don't care. I've told people for years in workshop, if you can eat jars full of M&M every night and go have your blood and urine tested and have perfect blood markers and urine markers, go for it. I am not here to tell you what to do. I am here to inspire you to be curious, to be a detective, to figure out what you want to do. Okay? What works for you, because you want to feel better, you want to have more energy, and you want to be healthy. You want to be healthy and live a long, healthy life. You don't want to be like some people that I've run into in my 30 some odd years of working with older people when they're in their 80s, usually 80s, 90s, not so much, but they're 80s, and they're just a mess. Diabetes, memory issues, physical joint issues, just a mess. And if I would have taken a mirror and showed them that when they were 30 or 35, would they have made some changes? Would they have looked to find that perfect diet? I don't know. I would hope so. But I'm talking to too many people, especially my age. I mean, I'm 60. And there's people my age that are falling apart, getting joints replaced and diabetes, and they've got fatty liver, and they got all these other problems. Gosh, when we were 30, would we have thought differently if somebody would have told us to stop that stuff? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But we have to figure it out. All right, guys. This is Coach Arnie. I'm done ranting tonight on the Life Loving Health, the Health, Love, and Life show on the goingsolomedia.com with Cece Schatz. She's always a wonderful host here, helping us out. All the behind the scenes action, plus her own show, and she's doing just a dynamic job of running this network. So we're really very, very blessed and grateful for her. And again, give me a call. Let's have a cup of coffee, or a virtual cup of coffee, or if you're local, let's have a cup of coffee. Give me a call, give me an email, send me a text. I'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, this is Coach Arnie with the Health, Love, and Life show, and I am out of here for another week. Love you guys.